Channel 10.
I want to give you a big thank you for checking out the Channel 10 podcast and ask you to please support the show by subscribing, rating, liking, commenting, favoriting on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever you get your podcast from. That little bit definitely helps us to grow and expand the show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you have any questions, comments, sponsorship opportunities, or just want to say what's up to the Channel 10 podcast, you can shoot us an email, channel10podcast@gmail.com. Or you can also send us a text or leave us a voicemail. Just hit us up at 443-885-0997. Also, please check out channel10podcast.com. There you can check out all of the back episodes of the show, as well as keep up with everything that Singodsuperior and myself, Tick, have going on. There you'll also find links to all of our social media to connect with us. And also, you can order a t-shirt by clicking on the link at the top of the page. Also, you can show support by shopping through our Amazon portal at no cost to you. Whatever you buy, we'll get a little percentage of it. So, definitely show some support. We really appreciate it. Channel 10 Podcast presents the Wu-Tang Podcast, where we break down the Wu-Tang Clan's discography album by album. Check it out at WuTangPodcast.com and search for Wu-Tang Podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Definitely rate, subscribe, support that show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We really appreciate it. Aside from this podcast, both myself and Singodsuperior have a lot going on. You can check out all of Singodsuperior's new music by going to Singodsuperior.com or looking out for him on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, wherever you get your music from. Same thing for myself. Check out everything I have going on at the Almighty AR.com.
We used to be like, see you there, Channel 10. And we used to think that people would catch on. But if you're not from Queens, if you don't got Time Warner or whatever, like, well, I didn't know that.
Do it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, hold on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface.
Once again, we're back. It is the Channel 10 podcast, and it is I, the Almighty A.R. Tick, in the building, and I'm alongside
Singodsuperior.
And today we have a very special guest. It's been a long time since we've had a musical guest, but today we have a very special guest by the name of Mark Shrey, straight from the DMV. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody listening?
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. Just going through your music and hearing your perspective and some of your interviews, being a younger artist in the game, so I'm really excited to hear your perspectives. But you're from Fredericksburg, Virginia, right?
Yes, Fredericksburg, Virginia, located smack dab in the middle between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, Virginia, an hour each way.
Okay. Now, what's it like growing up there?
It's nothing special. I mean, it's just a little, somewhat rural and, what's the other word? It's not really inner city, but it's a little town area. It's a little bit of farmland, a little bit of towns, and that's pretty much it.
Now, when you, have you had much experience like venturing into Richmond or DC?
Yes, I went to Richmond multiple times. That's where I actually recorded the Weirdo project last year. Recorded the entire month of September down in Richmond, not far from the VCU campus.
Okay. Now, coming up, what was your upbringing like?
Well, What do you mean exactly by that? Because, I mean,
like
I could go into one section, or I could go into all of it.
Like basically, you had older siblings, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they were your introduction into hip hop.
Yep, I have 2 older brothers in their 30s, in their mid-30s right now.
Okay, so what's like your earliest memories of hip hop?
Ooh, well, let's see. Probably back 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my earliest memories of listening to hip hop. I mean, my brothers used to play music all the time in the car. They'd always do hip hop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, man, I don't even know. They just kept showing me music. I always kept hanging with my brothers every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd just be bumping to some music in our car, and I just got caught up in it. I just started downloading it myself after I found these online sites where you could download the free music from.
Right.
And Bandcamp, and I just kept downloading and finding new artists. And then I came across a couple artists that some people may know of. You know, for example, Fora out in California. He started, I think it was back in 2010 or maybe 2012. One of those 2 years. And I came across him with my brother, and this was back when he dropped his first project. And I'm still listening to him to this day. So I got to give props to my brothers for, you know, helping me get caught up in music.
That's what's up, 'cause like, you know, I'm 29 right now, so like when I came into, you know, learning about music, I realized that I had some research to do, and I had to go back and listen to some of the things that came before me. And, you know, listening to your style and the way that you rap, you know, you actually rap, which is, you know, a bit different than a lot of people, or the perception of a lot of people from the, you know, newer generation and everything. So I was wondering, like, you know, what are some of the artists that first caught your ear that gave you that bug to want to do it?
True. Yeah. Yeah, man. I really started out with just tons of like artists around 2008, 2009, just 2000, year 2000 and up artists.
Okay.
Just cats that are all underground.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until 2011 when I purchased my first MPC, an MPC 2000 XL. And that's when my brother started showing me a lot of classic rappers back in the 90s and producers like DJ Premier, Jay Dilla, Exile, and Pete Rock. Mm-hmm. And then I started going into 90s artists like Cellar Dwellers and CL Smooth and just all these artists.
Okay, that's what's up.
And that's how I got my vibe for hip hop. I started. I'm like an old head when it comes to hip hop, but yet I can still do this new age music.
Right.
I'm very versatile with it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you started off on the MPC, so you're a producer as well?
Yes, I produce as well. I actually started out as a producer first before I started rapping. It wasn't until 2012 to 2013 was when I really started actually rapping. My brothers purchased a mic for me for Christmas, the Christmas of 2012 to 2013, and they said, look, it's time for you to start rhyming. And I was like, all right. So that's when I started rapping and recording and getting into actual hip-hop music and becoming an MC.
Well, That's interesting because when I was, going back and listening to your to your older stuff back in high school, and like your original name, the Seventh Chakra, I was like, this is an interesting name, but it seems like it's more of like a producer name. This is something that I did think, like, like those kind of big grandiose names, they tend to kind of be, I guess, more or less producer names. So was that like where it came from originally?
Well, originally I didn't have a producer name. I was just producing in my basement, just making tons of beats. And then I started rapping, and my brothers said, you need to find a name, and I just couldn't find a name whatsoever. So then we came across Seven Chakra because of, I was big in let's see, how can I put this? My inner self and knowledge of self with all the seven chakras of the body, and they felt like that would fit for me. Even though I honestly didn't like that name that much, but I couldn't think of a name at that time, so I just stuck with it. And if you look on the cover art of The High Schooler's Guide to Life by Seven Chakra, I actually put down in the right bottom corner, produced by Seven Chakra. So it is practically my producer name, and I still use that as my producer name, even though I don't really put, I don't say that it's produced by me at all for any of the beats that I produce. But, yeah.
Now, when you were starting... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, now once you started to actually write and record, like, was it immediate, like as soon as you started, or as soon as you had the ability to record, you started writing, or were you like writing before that and like, doing shows and stuff like that?
I was actually writing way before I purchased my MPC. I started writing back when I was in like 6th, 7th grade. I actually started back in 6th grade in my middle school. I had these two other friends, a Hispanic friend and another Caucasian fellow who was heavy in like music. He was really listening heavy to bands and rock music and metal and stuff. And we came up with the idea to actually become a band, which is very embarrassing and horrible to say, but I'll admit it. We became a little band, even though we actually never performed or never got together and actually played instruments. But my friend was going to be the drummer. My other friend was going to be the bassist or the guitarist, and then I was going to be the lead singer and the guitarist as well. And I started writing a little bit of lyrics, and they were horrible and very short, and it was just horrible. And then I got into like 7th grade and 8th grade, and I started writing, but it was still like dark stuff that was just very depressing and sad, and it still really wouldn't make any sense, and not a lot of it rhymed. It was just very, very off. And it wasn't until 9th grade, freshman year of high school, I actually started writing a little, and that was about the same time I got the MPC. I started writing a little better and got a better flow and made sense more and had some more concepts to songs. And then in 2013, after I got the mic, I actually started producing those songs that I wanted to use for the project, and sat back and wrote songs and I recorded, and they all made sense and they sounded good, and at that time. And there you go. Honestly, I think those were the best songs that I ever wrote to a certain degree. I just wish I could like re-record them and put them on my future projects. But, I can't do that because I can't just recycle an entire song. That's just not cool. Plus, production was just totally different from what I'm doing now.
Now, what is interesting about your time as Seventh Chakra is the fact that, you Seventh Chakra, the Crown Chakra, your lyrics and songs overall are very existential. Like, I would even argue that, a lot of your production is kind of airy, I guess a bit, because it has like a kind of layered sound and I guess kind of dreamlike. And then what's interesting is that your final, at least on your Bandcamp page, your final song is dedicated to a friend of yours, Proverb, and then after that, yeah. So is there something that revolves around Proverb, losing Proverb, and then you making this transition to Mark Stray?
Well, actually, no. He was just a good friend of mine. He actually helped me. I met him. I met him through my brother. He was another artist who was well known around, kind of overseas and still in the underground.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. And I met him, and he liked how I made beats, and I liked how his music was. He always had positive vibes and great lyrics, and we always wanted to do a project together. And I was going to produce it and maybe rap a little, and we was going to do it, and we never got a chance to. And it is what it is. But that he had nothing to do. That him passing had nothing to do with me changing my name. It was just. He was a good friend, and I had to do a little tribute song for him. I was just in my feelings. I was like, man, because it had been months since I'd seen him, too. I hadn't talked to him because he'd moved to Florida. And, so I never got a chance to see him again. But yeah. I went to the funeral and everything. They had that back here in Virginia, so.
I actually interacted with him online a couple times. I never actually met him, but I think we ended up on some like posse cuts that people put together and stuff like that. But his website, has a lot of good information for people who, and it's still up. Was it proverb.net? It has a lot of good information for up and coming artists. So definitely, rest in peace to Proverb, and definitely check that out. Everybody listening. But yeah, from my interactions with him online, he definitely seemed like a good dude, man.
Yeah, he was a good dude.
Yeah. So when it comes to putting out your first project and getting it distributed and everything, what was that process like?
Very painstaking and time consuming. Mm. The whole plan. Well, actually, let me start with my name change. Mm-hmm. So I didn't like that name that much. I never really did. I never liked Seven Chakra that much. So I said, this is right after I graduated high school, and I was in college, in my community college, and I was like, man, I want to do music because I like it. And I was dying to do another project because I was actually going to do like a whole 90s EP where it was all 90s beats and 90s flow and everything, and I was going to do that in like late 2014, but I never got a chance to do it. I never really got into writing any songs. I only had like 3 or 4 beats that were actually 90s that I had made, and only one of it was just a horrible thing. So I was like, I need a better name, something that's, people will like, something that's different, something that's catchy, or just anything that's a good name. And so I studied up on a lot of these artists that I see, and it looks like a lot of their names, a lot of their artist names match or are very similar or go off of their real names. Like, for example, G-Eazy, his first name is Gerald, and his middle name is Earl, and, the G, short for Gerald. It's very similar. Let's see. Another artist would be Mac Miller. Mm-hmm. Mac for short for Malcolm. It's just I felt like I needed a name that was close enough to my real name. So what I did was I just my first name is Marcus, Markus. So I was like, let me just make it Mark. And then I took the last 3 letters of my name, Chambers, which is the last 3 letters is ERS, and I just flipped it backwards and said Stray. And, it's kind of like Ray Shroomer, if you think about it. So I was like, Mark Stray sounds good. I like it. It's different. So I just went with that. And then the whole process of working on the new project, the Weirdo project, I wanted, there was really no concept or idea behind the project. I just wanted to make a project and drop it. I just had no idea of what I was going to call it or anything. And then I just, I told myself I was going to stop going to school and I was going to stop working my job, and I was just going to take a whole 9 months off starting January 1st of 2015, and I was going to go all the way until September 1st and write the music, produce and write lyrics all in my room and at home and whatnot. And then starting September 1st all the way until the end of September, or probably October 5th or October 1st, I was going to be in the studio for an entire month, recording and mixing and mastering all that stuff down in Richmond at a professional studio. Shout out to the Spot Recording Studio. So that was the plan there. And then it came around probably early to mid-September. I was just searching on Instagram, and I was thinking to myself, I need some cover art. So I was searching on Instagram, and I found this artist who, shout out to Ray Did It, and he had all these pictures that he had drawn. He drew vector drawings of all these artists, all these famous artists like Janae Aiko, Wiz Khalifa, Dizzy Wright, just Action Bronson, just tons of people, Chance the Rapper. And I was like, I like these drawings. So I contacted him through Instagram, and I was like, hey, how much would it cost to get this done? And he gave me a price, and I sent him like 2 or 3 pictures of my face, and then he drew it, and I was like, I love it. Like 3 or 4 days later, I got it back, and I said, I love it. And then I just put that in Photoshop and added the Weirdo and the parental advisory and squared the image up and made that the cover art. And that was pretty much it. And then after recording it and putting it out, I thought more about the project, and I kind of turned it into a concept, even though it wasn't really a concept. But if you think about it, all those songs are kind of like the way I view the world in a way, or my opinions on life. Even though there is like 1 or 2 songs that don't, well, actually, no, let me take that back. Every song pertains to something that happens in the world or that happens within myself. So it's and I call myself a weirdo because I'm very different, and the way I view the world is very weird and different, kind of. So that's how I came up with the idea for Weirdo.
Now, on one of the songs, I noticed you had a lyric about chemtrails. So I was wondering, I was wondering about, your thoughts on, are you into like conspiracy type stuff, and like what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yes, that comes from my my older brother, the middle brother out of the two. Mm-hmm. He's the one who really got me into the underground hip hop, and he's helped me read a lot of books. And he's the one who got me caught up in conspiracies and whatnot. But I'm into certain conspiracies, stuff that actually makes sense if you really think about it. But yeah, I just had to put that in there. Like I said, these are my views on life and my views on the world. So I had to put that in there.
Yeah.
Mm. Now, when it comes to the project overall, and you taking that time off to write and create, we both like produce and write and everything like that. And I was curious to know, how did you come up with like a balance, or did you have like a regimen when it came to writing and producing as well, or was it just based on whatever inspired you at the time to go ahead and write, or to go ahead and make some beats?
It was honestly what inspired me at the time. I never force anything, because forcing stuff just doesn't always come out good. Either you force something and it doesn't sound right, or you just don't like it overall, or you just don't feel good about it. You know, I never try to force anything. I always try to feel something. You know, either I'm in the mode, I wake up, I have a good breakfast, and I'm like, all right, let me just lay back and make a beat. So then I find a sample, or I just start messing around with sounds and I make a beat. Or I'm just in my feelings because I'm mad at somebody, or I watch something on TV, or, you know, I'm in my feelings because I'm just in my feelings. I just start writing a song. You know, that's just how it is. And it really depends on what the topic is and how I truly feel at that moment. That's how I can write stuff. Like, I've actually, like, for example, for the Weirdo Project, a song titled 1992 on that project, that was actually originally supposed to be on my 90s EP back in late 2014. But I actually wrote that song back in like 2014 and never finished it. I only wrote the first two verses, and it wasn't until probably March or April of 2015 is when I actually wrote the last verse. Like, I'll write songs and I won't finish them, and I'll just leave it just leave it and work on something else, and then I'll come back months down the road or even a year down the road and then actually write it. You know, finish it and actually put a beat to it and whatnot. It's very strange. It's just how I feel. Because I had an idea for it or a concept for that song, and then I couldn't finish it because I just couldn't write anymore. So then I just stopped, and then it came back to me again with another concept or something. You know, I read over the song every once in a while, and then I'm like, ooh, this idea popped up here. I could do this or this or this to end the song. And then I choose one and I just start writing, and it works. So I never force anything. I always let it flow.
Now, a follow-up question to that. So when it comes to, at your previous projects before Weirdo, and, you admitted that, it was more existential, a bit more dark, and with Weirdo, it's a bit more balanced. So, you have like your kind of like sermon from a Weirdo when you talk about chemtrails, more darker things. Then you have like your more lighter, like kind of lighter vibes with like with Coastin'. So was there like a change when it came to like what you were reading at the time when you were writing it, or just whatever you were thinking about when you were a bit younger, just kind of like you shook it off?
I wouldn't say it's a change. I just say, or a balance. I think I knew I had to make production that was more mainstream, like that people would like, to get their attention. And I always, regardless of if it's, a good hype comedic, a good hype song or a comedic song or just a very serious song, even like Cheap, for example. It's very comedic, but it's still, I still give a kind of, I wouldn't say a dark message, but just a deep message. Yeah, everybody's broke, and nobody's got the money to be spending on tons of stuff all the time. You got to be cheap sometimes to save money and make things work. And then even songs like Coastin', it's a chill, laid back song, but if you really think about it and listen to the second verse, it's a lot darker than you think. I talk about police brutality. And also it can be looked at as, I was actually going to shoot a music video for that, and I had two concept ideas for the video. Either I was going to originally the song was written as I get pulled over by a police officer, and it's just police brutality. But the second idea was I could actually, we stopped at a stoplight, and I have another fellow black man hold a gun up to the window that's rolled down, aiming at me, and it was going to be black on black crime. It's just symbolizing that. Here's the thing, I always have a message in my music, whether it's a good 90% of my music I have a message in, regardless of if it's comedic or a hype song that has auto-tune or, just a chill, laid-back song. I always have a message, regardless. Mm-hmm. I always have to do that. There's very few songs that will not have a message. Even Save It for Later has a message. It's just very hidden. because you don't, not many people think about it. They're just busy like, oh yeah, let's just hit up the Uber and so you can come over and, save it for later. That's all the people pay attention to.
But it's like, when you get into the verses, it's a bit more subliminal and it's getting in people's heads.
Yeah, hopefully it's getting into people's heads.
Yeah. And, just curious, because, I've had many Nova, Northern Virginia experiences, just going to the Art Institute of Washington in Arlington. But, what are the cops like out in Fredericksburg? Like, how is that experience out there?
They're okay. Honestly, cops are okay like everywhere, except for, certain places that are really bad. But, they're okay. There are some bad ones and there are some issues. We had an issue, I believe it was last year. I don't think it was early. It wasn't this year. It was last year. I don't know when last year, but it was, I don't know if you heard about it. It went viral on Facebook. There was a guy, an African-American male who got in a car accident, not even a mile away from the police station. And, he hit another person and he, actually was having a seizure. And the cops, there was 2 or 3 cops came up and commanded him to get out the car. And he wasn't going to get out the car because he wasn't responding really. And they just tased him. I don't know if they killed him or not. I don't know if they killed him. They might have. If not, they just really hurt him. But they yanked him out the car, and he was just having a seizure. And they weren't paying attention or not caring at all. And that was the worst thing that has happened. That's up to date. I don't know if anything else bad has happened with at least police issues. But yeah, it's okay out here. It's not many issues. As long as you follow the rules, you ain't got no issues. I've only been pulled over once.
Wow.
So,
wow.
And I
wow. Cause
again, I know how to drive.
Yeah.
I know how to drive. I don't speed all the time, or I don't really speed at all.
Cause
I don't do no crazy stuff. I don't run no red lights. And I ain't never been in a car accident, so.
That's good, man.
It's all good on my end.
It's like I've had some experiences out in, it might have been Fairfax, when the cops, they just kind of act kind of crazy for no reason. Like, you're not really doing anything, but they're trying to find something, and you can tell they're trying to ask certain questions to get you, but they don't really have anything. But,
Yeah, I know about that one. It depends on the certain counties. Fredericksburg, I don't really have any issue with. When you get out into the farm country area, it's a little bad, depending on who the police officer is and who the driver is, race-wise. Other than that, you won't really have any issues, or at least not, any issues that I know of.
That's what's up, man. I hope you stay clear, man. Like, because it's definitely serious out here.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that.
No, man, no doubt, man. Like, just running through Virginia, because, we're in Maryland, we're in Baltimore, and, I've had experiences in, what's considered the general DMV area, which is like, I've been in DC and, PG, Montgomery, Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, all of that. And, it's very important to be cognizant of the laws when you cross certain state lines and, things that might change. Because I know they're a lot harsher in Virginia when it comes to certain things, and then certain things are not. But, it's definitely cognizant, especially, when you're a bit more melanated in certain areas.
I understand.
Yeah. Now, you have an interesting promo strategy when it comes to getting your music out there. So I was wondering if you could kind of detail that a bit more, because, when we first, came across you, it's like, Mark Strat, I haven't heard that name. And then you go and you start to research the name, and you're like, oh, you know, you have some things popping and got a lot of views on your on like a lot of your songs. So I was wondering, you know, what type of promo strategy and like what's your team like that gets your music out there?
Well, honestly, there's no team whatsoever. It's just me. I will admit it. I already have said it over 2 interviews, I believe. It's just clickbait, you know. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it works depending on the quality of music that you're clickbaiting people with. But that's the only thing. Clickbaiting is good. It's 50-50. It's good and bad. It's good because depending on the artist that you use, whatever name you use to get your stuff out there, a lot of people will click on it and think it's that person, and it will help you get views, and it's, you know, it's perfect. And as long as you make it easy for them to find out who the real artist is, then you practically got it in the bag. You know, if you do it via YouTube, you know, just put annotations on the videos and put links in the description, but, you know, do a smart URL or a tiny URL, or, you know, don't just actually paste your URL from your music, even though you could, but, you know, you want to make it a little more secretive. And the bad part about it is, you know, you'll find the people who are mad at you for clickbaiting, they won't support you. Or even if they like your song, they're like, oh, well, you lost a fan because you're lying, or you're not putting in the effort to promote your music. I'm like, okay. I mean, the object is to get it heard by anybody, by any means necessary, you know? You don't want to just, you know, you can't just put it out there. And it's crazy because a lot of people get mad and say, yo, man, this is crazy, but you should have never clickbaited. And then I go and I respond and I'm like, well, if I didn't clickbait, you would have never heard this. Right. It's just as simple as that. Right. So, you know, you can't be mad. You know, it's good and bad. You can lose fans, or you cannot, you know, get a good majority of fans. But, you know, if you have 1 million views on something and a million people listen to it, a million people listen to it, you've got probably a good, at least like 10,000 or 100,000 people that really like your music and will go and find you and listen to you and see what else you have.
Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, normally when I see things like that, it's a turnoff. But when I went on your SoundCloud, I was impressed because it was multiple songs and things that you had that had over 1,000 views and things like that. So I'm like, it's not just that, you know, there's something else behind this. And then, you know, I go and listen to some of the records that you have, especially the Paper joint that you had with the video, and I really like that song. But you know, I can see that there's, you know, some added substance behind it, so it's not just, you know, like those people on Twitter who will just at 1,000 people but not try to make a relationship, and then, you know, by you actually going and responding to people, like, you know, and explaining your reasoning behind it, and it sounds intelligent, and it's like, okay, you know, I can't really front on that. So, you know, I definitely had to give you props on that. I guess when it comes to what's next for you, how do you plan on promoting your music going forward? Do you plan on like using the same strategies, or, you know, what have you learned to kind of help you get out there more?
Okay. I want to thank you for giving me respect on the content and what I speak about.
No doubt.
And to answer your question, I will continue to use the same strategy, but I will also add more to it. When I first started, before I even started doing clickbaiting, I was doing Twitter ads and Facebook ads. but I didn't really know what I was doing, so I kind of just wasted money on that. But it did help a little bit, but not much. But now that I know what I'm doing, and now that I have a song that a lot of people like, once I release the video to the song, to save it for later, which I hopefully will try and do the end of October, I'll try and release that video. I'm going to put an annotation on the Save It for Later video on my video and on the Post Malone clickbait video saying watch music video here, and tons of people will click on it. And I will also do Twitter ads and Facebook ads of the Save It for Later video. And I also think I might not even post the Save It for Later video to my YouTube channel. I might not. I might actually see if Hot New Hip Hop will release it, or see if World Star Hip Hop will release it, or maybe even Elevator. I don't know. I'm going to look into it once I get it. I think I would love it if World Star Hip Hop would do it, but I don't think they will. So I might have to go with Hot New Hip Hop. And honestly, I don't even think Hot New Hip Hop will, but, you got to try. So, if worst case scenario, I'll probably just release it on my own channel.
Right.
And call it a day.
I mean,
but
with your own...
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, with your own channel, you have the opportunity to actually monetize it and, get some of that AdSense paper.
True. And especially if that video goes viral or gets over 100,000 views. But, I mean, I'm making money from the clickbait channel, so it doesn't, it's not affecting me that much.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I can, I will definitely monetize it if I release it on my channel. And hopefully I can get it released on Hot New Hip Hop at least, or World Star Hip Hop, because they just have a large subscriber count and following, and that video will go viral if it goes on one of those two YouTube channels.
Right. So, when you first started recording to where you are now, did you ever expect to get 50K on a SoundCloud post?
No, I never thought so. I mean, honestly, this is how it was. I released the Weirdo Project. I did that all in studio, and while in the studio, I learned a lot from the engineer. We built a good relationship, or a friendship, and he taught me a couple other things. I mean, he already agreed with me that I knew what I was doing, mixing and recording and mastering wise, because I did the whole 7 chakra thing by myself, even though I was missing a couple things. He still told me I knew what I was doing. So then he taught me a couple other things, and I was able to do it on my own. So then I was like, I don't really have the funds to do more music or go to the studio. So I just borrowed my next door neighbor's microphone, and because he was big in music. Now he's not really big in music anymore, and he's off at a university in school, so he doesn't mind if I borrow his microphone. So I borrowed his microphone. It's sitting in my basement, and I just made one of my rooms in my basement practically soundproof, and I just recorded down there, and I started doing everything myself just so that I can save money and I can just be in the zone. Because honestly, I feel like when I was at the studio, I didn't feel right. I felt nervous, and I like being alone when I write music and when I record. I'm kind of like J. Cole practically, and I can sing as loud as I want. I can curse as much as I want. I can, I don't even like it when my parents are home when I record in the studio in my basement. Right. I just like being home alone, and I just do it. And I, spend an hour and a half down there, or 3 or 4 hours down there, and I'll just record 1 or 4 or 5 songs, and then I'll just come back upstairs to my room and just start mixing everything down. And everything sounds, in my opinion, I believe everything sounds professional. And honestly, after releasing, the singles, One and the Same, Sushi, and Opposite of Wonder. After I released those 3 tracks, I gained an idea of what I needed to do or how to mix properly. And then I went about releasing, recording and releasing Save It for Later, and then that was my first song off my project, my next project. And I was like, I know what I'm doing. And then I recorded paper, and I learned another thing off paper, and then I started recording other tracks, and then No Better came around, and I dropped that. And now I'm sitting on a couple other songs, and then I still got some more stuff to write and record before I drop my next project.
That's what's up. So what's your studio session like? Like what do you need to like what's your atmosphere, and what do you need before you get into the booth and record?
I don't need anything. I could go in and honestly, I just need a glass of water or a cup of water, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to eat too much before I go in the studio, because then I get the itis.
Right.
Or I just feel, and I don't want to be like starving, because then I just, I'm not focused, or I'm just, I'm not in the zone. I think it's better when I'm mad or when I'm in my feelings. Like after I write a song and I go downstairs in the basement and record, it's better when I'm in that zone or in that mindset, instead of waiting a week or two later after I write the song and then go downstairs in the basement. Because it just feels different, but it still comes out good in the end.
That's what's up. And for all the nerd engineer audiophile types out there, what type of if you don't mind, sharing your secrets, what type of software and plugins and equipment are you using?
Okay, well, I pirated Ableton Live 8. And that's what I've been using since 2011 or 2012. My parents helped me buy an Apple MacBook Pro, and I just pirated. Honestly, I pirate everything. I pirated Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, which Photoshop to make my cover art, Adobe Premiere to edit videos, which I have done. The paper video I edited myself, and I will edit the Save It for Later video. So I use Ableton Live, and I use, for my plugins, I use ProQ for everything, compressor.
I never heard of that one.
Actually, you never heard of ProQ?
Nah, I haven't even either. I use the Waves joints.
Let me, I'm pulling up Ableton Live real quick right now on my computer. I'm using Ableton Suite 8, which is practically, it's the more luxurious version of Live.
Right.
I actually started out on FL Studio, though, back in, 2007, 2008. But that was on my parents' PC, and it's long gone now. Actually, no. I use FabFilter. FabFilter for all my audio units or audio plugins. ProQ and ProC. ProQ is the compressor that I use to compress the entire song down before I go to master it. I would say I use Ontaris for autotune, but I don't. I just use GarageBand for autotune, since Ontaris won't work without the iLock key.
Right.
And I also master in GarageBand, because it's very simple. It's not difficult to master. And that's pretty much it. I also use, for certain sounds, I use the Massive VST.
Yeah, I like that one. I use that too. That's what's up. Yeah. So right now you're pushing the Save It for Later record, and you said the video is going to drop soon?
Yeah, I'm going to try and drop the video next month. If I can do that, that'll be great. And that'll be it. That'll be the last thing I drop before I drop my project. I'm not going to drop any more singles. I'm not going to drop any more videos. No, nothing. No other content. It's just going to be the Save It for Later music video, and then I'm off. I'm going to be dead silent until practically early January when I'm going to drop my my next project. I was going to drop it in early to mid-December, but I got some things that I just had to set it back just 1 month. So it's going to be in January, but I do not have the official release date yet. Well, I do, but I'm not gonna tell you guys yet.
Okay, that's what's up.
Well, and also the first anniversary for Weirdo's coming up too. So like very soon, in a matter of days. So looking back on that project, how do you feel about it a year later?
I feel like if I knew what I know now, I would have never spent the money at the studio. I would have just recorded it all at home. I would have just invested in a good mic and called it a day. I would have just recorded everything at home, because honestly, after looking back and still listening to it now, I don't like the mixes that the engineer did, and I don't like how I recorded. I didn't like my vocals. I honestly felt like I was just, I was anxious and I was nervous, and I just didn't like that. So, I mean, honestly, I would like to re-record the whole Weirdo project, or, take the lyrics from those, because honestly, a lot of those songs were great. Like, even Sermon from a Weirdo, all the lyrics were fire. And I was like, I just wish I could just take that and put that in a new song and just, a lot of those lyrics are good. And I feel like a lot of people don't pay attention to those, because it's, that project's old and it's not, not many plays or anything. Everybody likes Save It for Later and Paper, and now they're going to be going into the new project. And you know what? It is what it is. I'll just write better stuff, or, we'll see.
I mean, it's a catalog builder. Like, once you start to once your career starts to build, people go back and listen to the old stuff and see where you came from. And then, all your stuff is on Spotify and all that, so you'll start to get residuals off of that too, and then your new project will be even bigger. So it's not a waste at all.
Oh, you're right. It's not a waste. I just wish it was more noticed, but
right.
It is what it is. But to answer your question, I'm glad that it's coming on to an anniversary, and I still like the project, but I feel like it wasn't my best work. It didn't come out how I exactly wanted it to come out. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
I mean, I think that's how it is with any album.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. We always wish we could do more, and we always think that's not our best work. And you know what? It is what it is. There's always going to be stuff. There's always going to be music that you make as an artist that you might not like, but everybody else will love. And then there's always stuff that you might like a lot, and a lot of stuff, a lot of people won't like it. It is what it is. That's just life. So.
Right. That's true. Now, when it comes to DMV hip hop, where do you feel you fit into the scene and everything that's going on?
I don't think I fit into the scene. Honestly, there's just so many artists out here, famous ones and non-famous, and they're just all over the place, man. You have Masego, and he's doing some crazy stuff. He's just all this singing and saxophone playing and all uplifting, positive vibe stuff, and just weird like sounds. And then you have Gold Link, who is now singing a lot more too, and then you have Chaz French, and he's rapping and singing again. But I think a lot of us sing. I don't know what it is, because we're those weird guys. New York has always got that just straight hip hop vibe. That's always like boom bap, not much singing at all. And then there's the West Coast stuff that's, the West Coast funk like hip hop. And then you have a couple artists that will sing, and they just do tons of stuff over there. And then it's just us in the middle, just doing weird stuff. And it's just the whole DMV in general.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just my experience.
I mean, look, Wale's singing a lot too now.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, because I was in DC in 2005, 2006, 2007 when Wale first started to pop, and I remember that whole energy behind that. And I was wondering, like, if you remember that time. I know you.
No, I don't remember that time.
Okay. But like,
no, I don't remember anything prior to 2007, 2008. I mean,
Okay.
I don't even remember when Dilla passed. So.
All right. You know. One thing that just my experience in hip hop and dealing with Virginia. I went to Art Institute of Washington for audio production, and that was in Arlington, and like there were a lot of Virginians in that school, and a lot of producers, and Virginia is kind of known for producers. You have Timbaland, you have the Neptunes, you have even Bink from Rockefeller, who a lot of people credit the whole Rockefeller sound to, that Just Blaze and Kanye took the torch from. And when I was in Virginia, I met a lot of crazy producers who like just were ill with it. And I was just wondering, like, is there something about Virginia that breeds producers, or, the whole music scene just in that particular section of the DMV, especially when you get to the outskirts, like you're in Fredericksburg, like you're like an hour from DC, and Pharrell and Timbaland and them, they were a couple hours away out in the Seven Cities area and everything like that. So like, is there something special about Virginia that leads to dope production?
Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, we do have a crazy mixture of artists and producers, and we just got an interesting, weird sound. I honestly can't answer that question. I have no idea. I think it's just, no, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, because it's kind of a mixture of like South and East Coast, like, because Virginia is considered part of the South, but it's still like East Coast. Like you listen to the Clips, they're they're technically Southern artists, but they have like an East Coast sound about them. And then when you listen to a lot of people from Virginia, you can't even place it. Like it's like some alien type stuff. Like this isn't north, south, east, west, whatever. It's just music.
Yeah, you're right. I can agree with that.
Yeah, that's what's up. So what's the name of your next project?
It is going to be titled "Still Dreamin'."
Still dreaming.
Dreaming with no G and just an apostrophe.
Okay. And is there like a concept behind that?
Yes, the whole concept is just me officially being on the come up and going forth, achieving my dreams, and then I'm still dreaming of being at the top, and also going about how anybody can achieve their dreams. Just keep working hard at it, and just find out what you really want to do, and you'll eventually get there. As long as you put in that effort and you take the time and you devote yourself to it, you'll succeed, and you'll achieve your dreams.
That's what's up. Now, are the singles that you've released most recently going to be on there?
Yes, starting with Save It for Later and Paper and No Better. Those will be on Still Dreaming.
Okay, that's what's up. And I guess in closing, how can people reach out to you?
Catch me on almost every social media platform. On Twitter, at Mark Shrey. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think it's at Mark_Shrey.
Yeah.
Yes, it's at Mark_Shrey. Facebook is at Mark Shrey Official, or just Mark Shrey Official. Instagram is just Mark Shrey, or at Mark Shrey, and YouTube is Mark Shrey Official, and SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Mark_Shrey.
That's what's up, man. We're definitely looking forward to a new project when you put it out. Definitely keep us in the loop, and we'll, blast out everything. We definitely, appreciate having you on. And, definitely appreciate the music. I'm not gonna lie, this Paper joint that you have, that's my song right now. Like I really like that song. I also really like Save It for Later. But paper, I really gravitate towards. And, you know, for everybody listening, you know, definitely check out the Weirdo Project because there's some dope records on there too. And, you know, check out Mark Shrey at all of his social media and everything. DMV, Virginia, everybody, you know, stand up. We're here. We're in the building. Channel 10 Podcast, channel10podcast.com. And we out. Peace.
Peace.
Feeling is here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo.
CNN.
Yo, what up, man? Some different channels, son. What up? On, man. What up? Watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
What up? All good, baby, in every hood, son. What up, yo? CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas is grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo. Crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas that's grown men. Bold face, gather your face. Stay in place, yo. Crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface.